You could grow your arms from the side here all you want, but just because your arms grow from the side doesn't mean they grew proportionally the same way from the front. Put a picture of what I used to look like and how skinny my arms were from the front, because they've always been super skinny from the front my entire life. Then 3 years later, I gained like 70 pounds of almost entirely lean mass, and my arms were super big from the side, but then you put them in the front and they're damn near the same size as they were when I started. And so this is a very big problem, especially when you're front facing in a t-shirt. Now it doesn't look so bad, but before it was like that. It was like super, super thin. And so I brought them up a great deal. But I want to talk about what I did to make this change. The first thing I did is going to be a hammer curl, some sort of hammer curl variation. I'll actually grab a dumbbell to show you. With a hammer curl, there's a few ways to do it. I personally grab the dumbbell, not putting my hand at the bottom of the top weight here, but I grab it in the middle so my forearm does a little bit more work. And then all it is a curl. So I have my arm fully extended, right? I'm just curling up like so, kind of like you're trying to use a hammer to strike a hammer down. And so you let the weight down slowly, then squeeze with the biceps. And so I personally do this, as you know, on the preacher pad. So I do this on the preacher pad. That way I can work the brachialis as well as the short head at the same time. And so I have the preacher pad like this, and that's how I do it. And so personally for me, that's been a huge plus, not only to get direct short head work, but also to get direct brachialis work. And that has a direct impact on how big my arms are from the front. The second biggest thing I've done so far is do direct forearm work. I've only been working my forearms directly for the past 2 years straight. For the first like 3 years of lifting, I didn't really do this. And so for me, the forearms kind of grew just by connection based on me doing back exercises and arm exercises without straps for so long. But I've decided it's time to do direct forearm work. And so for this, like I said, curling down, curling up, but this one specifically, pronation. So what is that? That is having your palm facing upwards and twisting the wrist down, like so. I'm not going like this and lifting like an arm wrestler. That's what it looks like. Why would you want to do hammer curls and forearm pronations? Well, forearm pronations are going to work the brachioradialis, which is this forearm muscle right here running up the side. And so if you're doing like curling down, it's really easy to work, I don't know what this muscle's called, but on this side, right, when you curl downwards, you can feel this one working really good. When you're curling upwards, then you can feel the top side working really well, but it's kind of hard to directly train the brachioradialis, which is right here. And so I found it's easier to target when I do an exercise with that kind of motion. With the hammer curls, you're also going to get some direct forearm work and some direct brachioradialis work, but it's going to be the brachialis as well, the muscle on the side here, little side of the bicep, that's going to get the most work. And especially if you do it on a preacher curl, you're gonna get some short head activation there too. The third most important thing I did was prioritize my long head of the tricep. So training this part of the tricep more directly. And the reasoning for this is I build most of my tricep size off tricep pushdowns and extensions with a rope. And so the long head never got a whole lot of direct work. And I noticed this is a pretty big issue because when I stand in the front like this, if I were to aim my arms out sideways, so I'm twisting my wrists like that way, you could see here that there is more size underneath, but it wasn't always like that. And so before, this part was actually pretty empty up until recently. So again, my arms from the front are still a pretty big weakness on my physique. That is actually one of my biggest weaknesses, is because my arms are so damn long that from the front, they just look super thin. And so I didn't have the thickness here. Now it's coming in. So what I did was focus on the long head of the tricep. And I do this mainly, like I talked about with the overhead extensions, but mainly the biggest one that I've noticed is if I have the single arm D handle and I do the extensions, but with my elbow behind my back, for me, this isolates the long head super well. So right here, it is fully contracted. And for me, that is an awesome exercise that works really well, and I really enjoy doing it too. Those are the three kind of exercise-based things that I did, because you can eat in a calorie surplus, you can sleep well, and you can work out all you want, but you have to work out in the right way. You have to work out the right muscles, the right heads of the muscle to get a certain effect on your physique, to get a certain illusion. And so the final thing you can do, obviously, 8.5 to 9 hours of sleep a night and a slight calorie surplus. But we've already covered the calorie surplus thing, and we're right about to get into sleep right now. So I think that pretty much covers this. This is one of the biggest problems that skinny guys are going to face when trying to get bigger arms, is that they will grow from the side, but they will not grow proportionally from the front if you don't do the right things. And so if you take care of these things, at least for me personally, these have worked very well.